What's up?
Oh my god. You know what type of video we're in for this, guys. But yeah, we're here with the last two episodes of the fourth season of Invincible. That's episode 7, which was last week, and this week's episode 8. And with that, we definitely have a lot to talk about. The Viltrumite Wars come to an end, and the repercussions are being felt everywhere on multiple fronts, both galactic and at home. We got a lot to talk about. So I
Mental.
guess, yeah, mentally, everyone is screwed up, especially Mark.
I was gonna
Yeah,
say that's what people need to, especially for the end of 7 going into 8. People need to keep in mind that this is a mental type battle now for Mark. And honestly, I love that episode 8 explored that, because I mean, this is PTSD slash just genuine fear of what could happen to his loved ones and to the planet in general. This is genuine fear, and yes, it may be odd to end a season like this, but I feel as if it was needed. You can't
yes,
just have balls to the wall action all the time. I feel as if this was needed.
yeah. I felt that this episode for episode 8 was a palate cleanser, while episode 7 was just a pure devastation of war. But also just the full embodiment of who Thragg is as a character, as a person. But then also, I feel like you can't watch one episode without the other. Like, I think these last two episodes, I think, were some of the best pinnacle episodes in the finale that are in terms of having a symbiotic narrative that's playing through, where it's like, no, you see another side of Thragg eating at the end of episode 8 than what you see him even in the beginning of episode 7. Seeing how the Viltrumites, how they basically have the assassination of Emperor Argo, which, by the way, they didn't even show, which I think they're going to show it later. The full extent of how Emperor Argo died. Could we just see the assassination with Thaddeus? But I think there's more to that, because we're going to get a revelation in the future.
Thetis.
Thetis. A Megatron. But
Thetis, yes.
after the pure devastation of Mark, Nolan, and Thetis, right? Thetis, who basically went in a full missile with Space Racer onto planet Viltrum and went through the core and destroyed Viltrum. And I have never seen a scene like that, animated like that, maybe possibly to like Dragon Ball Z to a certain extent. But to all the people complaining about the animation, I said, with this episode, they left no crumbs on the table. Now, there might be some scenes where people are complaining about where if you slow down a quick frame of after someone gets beheaded and you see another character looks like another character animated just to save time, whatever. I'm not getting into that. The devastation of the planet of Viltrum, the heat and the intensity that it went through, that the fact of Thragg literally becoming the airbender and bitch slapping Nolan in through the stratosphere, that stuff was iconic, and I think we'll never forget about that.
It was beautiful. It was beautiful, and I felt their pain throughout this entire episode. But I feel like I don't want to jump the gun, because the beginning of episode 7, we get something that was not in the source material. The whole thing with how after the assassination and everything, Thragg with his crazy self with a nice black people haircut, he decides that first of all, with that haircut, he turns around and he tells one of the several black Viltrumites, like, well, basically, like, you're weak, I'm gonna kill you. That's all there is to it. And then he sicks all the Viltrumites on each other, like, eliminate the weak. And it just blows my mind. Like, even the kids are tearing each other apart. Like, the kids are tearing each other apart. We see the the few Viltrumites that we know about, Craig and Krieg and even Conquest. Like we see them, and they're the ones that survive and all of this other stuff, and they're about to turn on each other until Thragg says, that's enough. Like we can't eliminate everybody because we need to survive.
Everybody,
but
correct.
Like that opening, whoa! I'm like, okay, so y'all do this before we even get to the Scourge virus. Like, wow, which is that's just crazy. It was.
Yeah, J. King, what was your thoughts in terms of not only seeing the Viltrumites in their culture, but even at the end, when the conflict is happening, Thragg was trying to talk to Nolan. He brought him back on Viltrum and be like, "Hey, this is our culture. I'm giving you one more last chance. I don't want to kill another Viltrumite. There's only a few of us left."
First off, I'm just gonna say this. I find it very funny that when episode 6 happened, everyone was like, "Oh, this is the Thanos of the Invincible universe. This dude a fraud." And then these last 2 episodes are just like, I bet you're eating your words now. But no, that's the great thing about Thragg is like he's a very complex character where he's not like Conquest just wanting absolute destruction, or even a Nissa, in some cases he is more just like, look, I'm just trying to make my, like, he was basically like taught by the original Grand Regent like how to do Viltrum and how to lead the people. He'll kill somebody, but at the end of the day he's like, we're a dwindling race. The Scourge virus took a good chunk of us out. I don't want all of us to die, which is why he even spares Nolan and Mark, and even to an extent Oliver to an extent at the end, because he's just like, there's so few of us left, and now with our home gone, there's barely much. Like he says it in this final episode too, like our whole history is dwindling to the outside galaxy because there's not much left of it. There's no home here. There's like barely 40 of us left. So again, he's a very interesting villain because it's like he's really just doing this for survival, even if he's doing this in the most evilest way possible of conquering other planets and exerting their domination and breeding with others just to keep Viltrum going, to whatever extent. That's why I've always liked Thragg as a villain, because it's just like he's not just a one note. And you guys now finally might start understanding why we call him the Thanos of the Invincible universe and the end game of it. Not just because it's going to last for a while, but also just of how complicated and complex of a character he is. And trust me, it's going to get even more complex as we go along, because we're stuck with Thragg now. We're stuck with him for a while. Like, he ain't going anywhere. But yeah, no, it's just, yeah. Also, I will just say this to anybody that was complaining about the animation, I know it's not great, or like say X-Men 97 level great, but like, eat your heart out. That episode 7 had my eyes hurt in the best way possible.
Yeah, because one thing I really liked about this is how episode 7 ends. Was that after he decimates Nolan, decimates Status, and try almost, at the end, about to crush Mark's skull, he looks back at Viltrum and he's like, "No, I can't do this. Not that he doesn't deserve it, but I got bigger plans, and that play here." And then that's when all the Viltrumites go and float away into the into the pit of space. Don't know where they went. And then coalition of planets, they're like, "Hey, they're just gone. We don't know where they went." And that's when Mark began his midlife crisis, even though he's still in his 20s, I believe. That oh, they went to Earth. But then we get to episode 8. He speeds all the way up, trying to get to Earth, thinking of the worst possible scenarios. Think about it. How much devastation just one Viltrumite? You got 37 now. 37. Creating freaking tsunamis and everything, right?
Yeah.
And this whole episode, I felt, was a realistic interpretation of it. Have someone going through a panic attack, fear mongering, everything. This is someone who just experienced a panic attack. You're paralyzed in fear. You don't know the worst possible scenario, and you don't know what to do. And then, until a point of this entire episode, he's seeing a lot of things being played out of some happening in real time, really just his imagination. What was your thoughts, Lance, just about the the pacing of the emotional turmoil that Mark had to go through, and you as a viewer questioning if this was real or not.
I questioned it several times, and I felt dumb after doing it for the third time. Mind you, I'm watching because I was texting you when I was watching, when I got to the end of like episode 7. I was texting you.
Yeah.
I was texting you. So me and my wife, we stayed up. It's a Sunday night. It's late. We stayed up watching both episodes. And when we got to that episode where he's like thinking about the Viltrumites like just showing up on Earth and, you know, getting off the ship and just like going down and decimating the planet, I'm running on no. So in my mind, oh, they're blowing up they're killing everybody, and I'm like, wait, is this real? Like, this can't be real. Like, a whole tsunami, a whole tidal wave. Like, no, this can't be real. And then it turns out it wasn't. But then he starts to see it again in a different scene, and I'm like, oh, okay, this is real, because like he comes in like he kills Debbie. I'm like, okay, is this real? But then I thought to myself again, no, that's not real, Lance. Stop being dumb. It's just like he's seeing every possible worst outcome. And like I said, this episode is not action heavy, but showing you what could happen, showing you what he thinks just might happen. Hey, that's excellent storytelling in my book.
Jay King, I want to know your thoughts on not even going through where we're stepping away from Mark, but now we got Nolan back at Earth before he even gets to Debbie. Something that was very powerful. He went back to the spot where he nearly killed Mark at that mountain, and he had to relive that of episode was it 8 of season 1, and Cecil has to show up telling like, hey, listen, you feel bad about yourself, get the F off my planet, you know. What was your thoughts on that?
Nolan's whole journey right now is going to be very interesting, and again, it's like and that's also another thing I want to bring up as well, is just like the small little changes, because it's like, while some of these moments like him reuniting with Debbie again for the second time in the season, or his confrontation with Cecil did happen in the comics, they weren't to the extent of this. It was almost like to the extent of, let's just get Nolan back into everyone's good graces. But thankfully, the show version with Robert Kirkman and the team decided to do here was just like, Earth would not be, or at least especially the people closest to him, would not be that easily accepting of him coming back, even if he is helping fight against his own people and trying to keep Earth and the rest of the galaxy from getting destroyed. You know, like as Debbie said, you know, even with her understanding that it's like, yes, they had to run back here to Earth because they didn't know if the Viltrumites were there, and they had to leave Oliver, who is still healing right now. You know, even with all that, she's like, no, like, you still screwed everything up. You know, you still did everything that you did, said everything that you did. I can't easily forgive you. Even when we find out later on that while they were gone, she and Paul ended up breaking up. And so Debbie's, you know, free and single again right now. Though thankfully not as much of a what the hell as it was in the comics. Again, thank you, show, for making it a lot more easy to digest. It's like, still, it's like, it's not that easy for people to forgive Nolan. It's like Cecil said, it's like, you feel bad, you know, you almost died, good, do that like 200 something more times, and then, you know, we'll start talking. Because it's like, what he did was extremely hurt a lot of people, and we've seen that through people grieving. We saw that with Powerplex last season. Like, a lot of the things he has done is just unforgivable, that I'm glad the show, unlike the comic, is not easily going into the, yeah, all's forgiven, or it's like, oh, we got bigger fish to fry. It's like, yeah, we got bigger fish to fry and you're helping us, but we're not just gonna forget everything you did. Like, you are on a big, long road to redemption. While eventually it will have to get there, given later storylines in the comics that will get adapted into the next season and into season 6, you know, however long we go with this, I'm glad that they're not making it a fast thing. Like, him and Debbie, we'll see, but it's not going to be as instant as it was in the comics, and I'm honest to God glad about that, because I would just like it to seem more realistic, which thankfully the show has done.
Yeah, to that point, I felt they really made it realistic, because to the fact that, like, with Debbie, we have to make this forgiveness and repentance storyline play out in the most humanistic way as possible. And the most humanistic way as possible is, like, Oh, but no, it's not. It's not going to be one and done. It's probably going to take several seasons to get to this point. You know. Now, do it looks like the seeds have been planted to see? Oh yeah, well, her and her the other dude, the boyfriend's no longer together. So now it's like, hey, there's an open door. Yeah, I definitely see seeds being planted, but it makes sense. It's organic. She's not going there to go see Nolan. She's going there to see Oliver when she's leaving planet. So which
and I'd also just like to say again, just to say thank you to the show versus the comics, because if I remember correctly, her and Paul just broke up and it was just F you Paul the entire time. But where this was a much more mature, things just didn't work out.
Yes. And it makes it realistic instead of less like soap opera,
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Now I want to, as we go into the end of this episode, we see also return of Eve, and who is physically different. And I'm gonna tell you this, as someone who's married, that I actually appreciate that they did not want to move away from the storyline of a woman fluctuating in the weight of her body and how she's feeling, because it's a realistic thing, especially if you involve with women. But two, I was concerned how they're going to animate it, and it wasn't that bad as I thought it was going to be. And just like small differences where you notice it off rip, but not drastically compared to the comics. How everything else looks overly exaggerated.
Like the comics, she looked very chubby and almost close to her mother, but it's like no, it's like I've been here home and eating with my parents, but it's like not to the extreme that the comics did. Like she looked bigger, but not like to an extreme amount.
I thought it was just pregnancy weight.
Yeah, that could. Yeah, but it also play with the viewer's mind, thinking that this probably was pregnancy weight. But
my wife said, "Ooh, you got big." I said, "Is it just like?" Because I thought I was tweaking. I said maybe my screener is like distorted or something. I'm like, no, like you look like your mama, like that. But hey, I will say, Mark didn't mind. Mark got right to business.
Right, absolutely.
I mean, yeah.
Women, this is something you gotta understand. It doesn't matter. We still love you. They ain't stopping us.
Yeah.
But yeah. And I wanted to know your thoughts on this, Lance. As we're getting into the end of the episode, he said, just go for a fly. Just go fly around. And we realize he runs into Thragg, and it wasn't a figment of his imagination. It was him. He says, yes, we are here.
At that moment, I thought he was imagining it, but he was not. But it was just the look of sheer terror in his face. Like his worst nightmare come true. He did not expect to run into him, but the fact that Thragg says, like, I'm not, like, just let us, just let us be here in peace. Like, we won't have no problems. Basically, you don't come after me, I won't come after you. We gonna do our thing, you do your thing. Nobody has to know that we're here. Just basically let it go. He's giving him a reprieve, but of course Mark cannot believe that. I wouldn't believe it either. Like, you just ripped Thaddeus' head off in my face. Like I wouldn't believe you either. Like I in that, like the sheer look of terror. Like, the animators did an amazing job with these two episodes. An amazing job. Like, you felt it. Like, you felt Mark's heart drop in that moment, because like you're just flying, you're trying to just clear your head, and then the one thing that you're scared of, the one thing that you're worried about, shows up right in your face. And it's not, he almost killed his father, he almost killed his brother, he almost killed him.
Yeah,
this man is impossible to stop. Like, you dodged you dodged the one weapon that should go through your body like butter, and you barely moved. Like, he's different.
Yeah. One thing I thought was very powerful in this is just like, listen, I'm gonna tell you how your future is gonna be. I'm not even asking you. I'm telling you how your future is gonna be. And they go basically panel by panel what was in the comics of how, even in the outfits that some of these characters were wearing, these Viltrumites trying to blend in with the society and stuff, and that
Steve Harvey.
But right. What was different though? What was different was that this was just between Thragg and Mark. Nolan was actually there in the comics with him and in the sky having a conversation, but it's like, no. Let's just be more raw, just them two. And I actually thought that was better because then you make it that this was his choice alone that he had to carry. This was no influence by anybody else. Well, I think adds more even more weight when we get into season 5 about when he's going against former allies now turned enemies, and that in terms of the burden that he now has to carry. Because even then, when thragg replied to him like, "Hey, in some ways you became our savior." Funny how life works. Again, it's the irony of it. That's what's beautiful about it. It's just that no, you saved us, and then while Mark is feeling horrible, he's like thragg, like, "Hey, you saved this entire planet, and you saved the entire Viltrumites.
Yep.
You did something noble here. Bask in it. You'll never hear from me again." Yeah, but JK, what was your thoughts on that?
I mean, especially thinking about what will happen later on come season 5 and even season 6, it's like I do also like the fact that it was just basically a one-on-one thragg and Mark having this conversation, and he was put in a very difficult position because it's like he's like, "Look, I don't want the Viltrumites here. I don't want them breeding and making more Viltrumites, and strengthening their army and all that stuff. You got Anissa over here, you got Krieg over here, you got Steve Harvey over here. Like, I don't want these people on my planet. Like, they're going to, like, even if they say they're not going to kill people and they're just here to get their freaking on, to make more kids and grow the race again. I still don't feel good about this because this is almost like having 5 conquests or 5 Omni-Mans on Earth, literally just waiting and hiding that at a moment's notice, thragg could just be like, "Okay, we did what we want, kill the planet." But at the same time, it's like if Mark had said no, then he would have just been like, "All right, Viltrumites, do it." And then his worst fears that he had been having this entire time of Debbie dying, Eve dying, Cecil dying, William and his friends dying, the university destroyed, the city destroyed, everything of that would have come true if he didn't say yes. And it is one of those impossible choices that I don't know. I feel like Nolan will understand, but like anyone else, and like Nolan and Eve would probably understand, but like anyone else, I don't know. But it is just one of those choices of like, what is the lesser evil here? Is it saying yes and letting this race that I just took the entire planet from grow again? Or is it saying no and losing everything to the point where I just want myself to be taken out as well? It's like, and it's an extremely difficult choice. And I know there's going to be some people in online that are going to be like, did he make the right choice? Did he make the wrong choice? And that's a question that's going to be definitely answered in the coming seasons as Mark's whole world decides to get rocked, and he's put with more choices that are going to define not just him but the entire universe. So I guess we'll just have to see when it comes to that. But actually, can we backtrack? Because the one thing we didn't talk about with Eve, we talked about the weight, but we didn't talk about her telling Mark what happened to the kid.
Well, I mean, yeah, he's told him that he got that she got an abortion and everything, and I'm glad that he didn't overreact to it, but just with everything he was feeling, that I'm glad that he they made that scene just organic and just raw and not let that linger on, because again, it'd be horrible if you kept that secret over to the next season.
Right,
it just wouldn't make no sense. It wouldn't make no sense at all if they did that, and I think it would be a character flaw, to be honest with you, if they didn't have that in there, just pacing wise though. But I to me personally, what I liked about this finale, and it's probably one of my second favorite finales of the show, only because of the emotional turmoil that it only not puts Mark but you, the viewer, thinking that what is real, what's reality. But also, again, the fact that this episode really didn't have a lot of action going on. There was a lot of possibilities, but not a lot of action. But yeah, you still felt the intensity and the pressure of this finale, where I didn't feel, oh no, I felt very satisfied. But I want you to know, you guys, your thoughts again, how this show ends with end credit scene with you, Lance. that find that Alan, he basically gets a message from Thetis that, hey, I have the Scourge virus and it's more deadly because I don't know what's gonna happen if it get released to humans. So I'm asking you that all of us, if I'm dead, every Viltrumite needs to die. Everyone, even the ones that worked with us. And what is your thoughts on that? And what we probably can expect from season 5?
Knowing that Alan is most likely gonna go through with it. One, I'm having a hard time trusting Alan now that he took over, even though I love Alan as a character. But knowing what I know, I mean, this is gonna get messy, especially since, I mean, Viltrumites and humans being so similar in like physiology and whatnot. If they release that, could that potentially hurt the humans? If they release that, you're willing to just kill Nolan, Mark, and Oliver? Like that they're your friends. That's insane. Mm-hmm. Sometimes you got to think for yourself, but it doesn't seem like Alan can do that.
Only time will tell when we see that, because as we know, the release of these seasons are now coming. The window a lot shorter compared to season 2, and I felt that what we're going to get into next season, because again, we have not seen the return of Monster Girl. We have not seen the return of Robot. They were gone this season,
and they teased us in this episode too. They were like, they're gonna have to find their own way back.
Yes, and with Robot's mind, who knows? They might find their way back, but will they come back the same as we left them? Who knows? Yeah. Only time will tell, though. But guys, that concludes our review. Make sure you hit the subscribe button, comment, like, and share. Let us know your thoughts on this finale of Invincible season 4. Again, this has been an amazing ride to get to this. The last week we got in a time when we had at least Daredevil, The Boys, Invincible, and Star Wars all in the same week. All right, remember this time we're in. Remember this time, and this week when Michael Jackson come out, crazy. But anyway, guys, make sure you subscribe button, comment, like, and share. Also, check the description box below. I have a Lance channel link in the description box below, and make sure you hit the notification bell on your way out, because we got a ton of coverage from CinemaCon. I got interviews and got also full panels that I got able to record. Not the Avengers Doomsday trailer, because I've seen it and you didn't. Sucks to be you. Anyway, we'll see you guys in the next video. Peace.